All right, we would like to welcome you all to this regularly scheduled meeting. At this time, we'd like, so hold on just a second. Now we can go. We'd like to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we are at review of the agenda, followed by adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes they'd like to make?
I would like to just pull out the acknowledgement of the CCPS participation in the 2024 KIP survey. Just to talk about it briefly, I think Mr. Howard said he could talk about it during his report. I just want families to be aware of what that is because of that it's in the consent items, third up from the bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
So you want to leave it there, but to vote on,
We don't
to
need,
acknowledge?
just to
Okay.
acknowledge, I just want to make sure that we have just a brief conversation so families
So it's going into your superintendent report?
can know what that's about.
Okay. Anything else? If not, we know how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Hall,
Second.
second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consider approval of minutes for July 16th, 2024 special virtual meeting and July 22nd, 2024 special meeting, and approval of minutes for the July 22nd, 2024 regular meeting. Was everybody
was present.
on all of them?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
I don't think Mr. Bennett was at the first.
I was gonna say, I
It
didn't
says
think
both. Shows everybody present.
on all three.
I think I had to miss one of those meetings.
Yeah.
I think it was the
It was
vir-
the special virtual.
the virtual.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll pull it out and do the other two together. So, consider approval of minutes for the July 16th, 2024 special virtual meeting. Anybody want to make that motion? Or I can make that, I'll make that motion. So I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I thought that it was in August because it just happened. Did we have a special virtual meeting in July?
We did, to discuss the cross-country or the track trip.
That just happened like a few weeks ago.
No, that was the cross-country one.
Oh,
This was the one for the
This was one for the national championships down in,
Texas.
oh, that's
Texas.
right. Okay, gotcha. So, but we don't have the one for the special, the one we just did?
No.
correct.
Not
Okay,
yet.
all right. I apologize. Okay, I voted aye.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nope, Billy, you don't vote.
That's right.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay, and now, a motion for July 22nd, 2024 special meeting and a motion for the July 22nd, 2024 regular meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for.
Motion by Ms. Hall,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You vote on that one, Billy.
Yeah.
Okay, you did? Okay. Motion carries 5-0. Sorry, didn't hear you that time.
Low volume.
All right. Clark County Public Schools recognitions, Ms. Bush.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight we will start with Miss Caroline Harper. She is a senior at George Rogers Clark High School and is the daughter of Ben and Amy Harper. In June, she had the second place in the fitness category, second in scholastic, first in talent, winning the overall jazz with a jazz dance routine, and the #1 in the interview category. She will compete in the state competition in January at the Singletary Center in Lexington. One of her questions during the interview process was, what would you change in public education? And her answer was, More support for students. Many are very smart in different ways and may be left behind. A fun fact about Mallory is that, Miss Muncie, you will love this. She is your #1 fan for school cafeteria food. Please join me this evening in recognizing our 2025 Clark County Distinguished Young Woman, Miss Mallory Jones. Caroline. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Video production crew. Smoke signals. Bam!
Sorry, sweetheart. I was so excited for you too. Okay, Miss Mallory Jones is a senior also at George Rogers Clark and is our Miss Kentucky's Teen 2024. She's an advocate for heart health through her Be Smart, Love Your Heart initiative. Mallory works closely with the American Heart Association, using her platform to educate and inspire others. She is a talented vocalist and also a very talented yodeler.
We're gonna put this on.
I did some investigation. She has testified before the House Health Service Committee to pass Bill number 11, the Tobacco 21, and she has been honored with the Youth Salute Award, serving as a 6th Congress District Youth Ambassador for Congressman Andy Barr, and receiving the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Award, highlighting her commitment to making a difference in her community. And I already said the fun fact about yodeling. I told it in front of me. She will travel to Orlando, Florida in January to compete for the Miss America's team. Please join me this evening in recognizing the 2024 Miss Kentucky's Teen, Mallory Jones. Right there.
All right, now we're over here. She's a professional, I don't need to tell her that. Oh, yeah, she come up here, oh, yes, gosh, no. One of my favorite students, kids ever, so. Don't tell my children I said that. Seriously, awesome. Just kill it, appreciate you.
This evening, we would like to recognize our 2024 Summer Feeding Program.
Celebrate right here.
I believe this year was it 8,000 more food serving our students in Clark County than this time last summer. So that, and also we had 7 days of our RDC community workshop that our staff members trained and participated in helping feed those babies that come over from other states to help our community members. So this evening, please help me in recognizing Miss Tina Banks, and if you'll please stay for a picture, everyone.
She's excited about that.
Miss Candace Blackwell. Miss Carla Couture. Miss Jean Davis. Miss Donna Finley. Miss Nina Henry. Miss Darlene Larry. Miss Karen Maggard. Miss Brittany McIntosh. Miss Virginia Miller. Miss Diane Morgan. Miss Naomi Oldham. Miss Bonnie Parks. Miss Cindy Reed. Miss Ashley Scarborough. wrapping up.
We'll let the superstar take her. I think you go have to direct us here.
get up, I can't see you.
This is Missy Adams, she's one of our staff also.
That's right.
I don't know if I can handle all this greatness.
I mean, we're rolling it here in Clark County.
I don't know who's sitting there, but I'm sitting there. All right.
Same school.
Not even the church.
All right, here we go. Everybody see me? Just dig me down a little bit, Brittany. Okay, here we go. Ready? All right. Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thank you all.
We do a Kagan strategy. In appreciation of their commitment to students during our student summer literacy liftoff, I would like to ask Ms. Kelly Fiffin to come to the podium, please.
This summer was an extremely rewarding summer, as I had the honor and privilege of being a part of something very significant in our district. And I have had the privilege of working alongside of some of Clark County's finest educators. And I would like to recognize each of these individuals for their commitment to working throughout the summer and providing extra support for all of our students and really trying to close the gap in regards to literacy. So as I call each of your name, if you will please come up and then remain standing, and we'll take a group photo at the end. But again, thank you all for your commitment and your hard work and your dedication. Mr. Rob Hill. Miss Amy Blair. Jennifer Kelly. Toby Sadler.
Congratulations.
Amy Shoemaker.
Thank you.
Faith Rudd. Rochelle Rich. Emily Harrison. Lola Armstrong. Stephanie McCoy. Anna Estrada.
We're good on the hand dance.
Holly Hicks. Renee Perry. T. Wilson and Rebecca Norton, I don't think they're here, okay, or Mr. Kent Kugel, but they also played a tremendous part. In addition, some of the behind-the-scenes staff that really just worked hard to make this happen, I want to recognize those individuals. Abby McCormick. Elizabeth Vallejo. Amber Murphy. Allison Hill. And Jordan Fulks. It really took the entire team, both the teachers, support staff, all of the behind-the-scene people, our food service, our transportation, everybody working together to make this happen, so thank you all. We can come in together for a great big picture.
But before, Kelly doesn't give herself enough credit, so I think us on the academic team. She was the principal, she was the nurse, she was running kids, she was doing this, doing that. So I think all of us here just want to thank Kelly for being such a phenomenal leader. Thank you.
Come on.
Ready? Here we go. You doing the cheerleader pose?
Shove me down.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you all very, very much. Good job, everybody.
Great job, team. Thank you.
That's on the instructional update.
Alright. Well, we are on to public comments. And we are on to Ms. LaToya Gordon. Only thing I ask is not say any names.
Good evening. My name is LaToya Gordon. I would like to talk about the school bullying that's taking place in our public schools. I have a niece that goes to Concrete, and she was bullied on the first day in first grade. The student dug his nails into her skin until she bled. The second or third day, he spit gum in her hair. For this to happen in the first grade, that's a problem. I think we need to figure out a way to either hold these kids more accountable as well as the parents, because a lot of this starts at home. And so we have to figure out, because it comes to a place to where these kids are now saying, I want to kill myself. And when it comes to I want to kill myself, that's a crisis. And in Clark County, we have a crisis. And we have to figure out, what can we do to get our children out of this crisis? So I think if maybe we can maybe strategize, or, come to figure out something, and we have to do it quick, because these kids' lives are at stake. So Thank you.
No, if you could, before you leave, if you can get your contact information to Fitton, I'll follow up tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
We do
Absolutely.
have a,
Yes, we actually have brought together a task force over the summer we met. It was a combination of school administrators, strategies, and all about bullying. In each school, if you get on their Facebook page, they have initiated an anti-bullying campaign.
Okay,
So we have actually already started all of what you just said. It's a community. And
Right.
You're absolutely right. We
Right.
all, myself and Ms. Simpkins, we're a part of that, and we have a follow-up meeting
okay,
coming up. And each school, each principal is, they all embraced it to really, because it is an issue, and we
Yes.
recognize that.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say thank you for coming and speaking to us and know that we
Oh, no
are
problem.
doing things. And like Mr. Howard said, please leave your information and they will get back with you about the specifics.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
all right. Learning and instructional services. Acknowledge CCPS cooperative learning. Oh. Ms. Fitton.
Yes. In Clark County, one of our foundations for high-quality Tier 1 instruction is focused on engagement. This year and last year, we have wrapped around cooperative learning. So tonight, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Vern Miner. He is the Director of Educational Leadership with Kagan Publishing and Professional Development, to give us a little bit of insight into our initiatives here in Clark County so that we have a good background of why we're doing what we are doing to promote student engagement. So Mr. Vern, can you hear us tonight?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did you see that picture of me on there just a moment ago?
I did not see it. No, sir.
That's good. Are you ready for me to roll?
We are ready.
So go.
Yes, sir. No, you are good to go.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for the chance to join you all. And I don't know, I caught the tail end of your introduction there, Kelly, on what I do. And I don't know if you told them what I did prior to this.
No, sir, I did not. So if you can give a little background, that would be great.
Yeah, it might be pertinent just in case anybody has any questions. I was a superintendent of schools for 16 years before I joined this. So I spent 30 years in K-12 before I came on board with Kagan. And and I think what's significant about that is that both of the districts where I was at, I was 12 years in one district and 4 in another. This was a non-negotiable initiative for us. So what you are rolling out there in Clark County, all my teachers did pre-K-12, and I lived in this realm for about 20 years before the Kagans asked me to join them. So when I was there this summer, because I've been to your district a couple times now, we talked briefly a little bit about what we might talk about tonight, and I'm good if anybody wants to stop me and ask me questions, and we'll go as long as you want to go. Dustin told me I had 45 minutes.
Whoa, whoa. Brevity.
Maybe it was 4 or 5. But really the big question is, I know we have some new board members now that are on the board now, that were not on the board when you launched this initiative. And so I think the big question is why cooperative learning? Why are you doing this? And so I thought I would just address 2 issues and then open it up if anybody has any questions, or Dustin or Kelly, if you guys want me to focus on something else, just let me know. That when I do work with districts across the country, and I have for the last 12 years, who are doing exactly what you're doing. None, and I'm serious when I say this, none as well as what you're doing. And I'll speak to that at the very end. But all different size, and I'm working in some capacity with somewhere between, I didn't count, I probably should have, 50 and 60 school districts across just Kentucky who are doing this. So this is not an isolated thing. This is very widespread. We work in all 50 states. And when a district jumps on board with us, there's usually one of two reasons why they decide to do it. And reason number one, and I need to reference a report that was done quite a few years ago as kind of a background for this. There was a report launched in 1966 called the Coleman Report. It was the first major study of schools in our country ever. And in that report, what they discovered, and again, we're talking 1966, but what they discovered was there were huge inequities across our country amongst children in terms of what levels they were achieving at. There were subgroups of kids who were performing significantly below other subgroups. Now in 66, the two biggest groups they identified were children of color and children in poverty conditions. But I will tell you, from having been in this business now 43 years, there are a lot of children who are in subgroups who are not performing at levels that they should have. I haven't looked at your data, but I'm guessing you have subgroups of kids that are not performing at levels that you want them to perform at. The issue is an issue of equity. What was discovered in 1966 is we did not have equity across our country when it came to achievement. Some kids achieved at high levels and some kids achieved at low levels. So what's been going on since that time frame for almost 5 decades now has been what we've been trying to close the achievement gap. That it should not make any difference what the color of your skin is, what your economic condition is, what gender you are, what your ethnicity is. When you walk through a school door, you ought to be able to achieve at the same level as any other child. And one of the most important ways of dealing with that is with how teachers teach. The way we've been dealing with it for 4 decades, when we first started to close gaps, was the first thing we did in the country is we started looking at curriculum standards, what we teach. And we've done a lot of work in that area. The second thing we did is we started building assessments. So we give state assessments and we give local assessments, and there's probably going to come a day where we're going to get a national every pupil test in the country. That kind of work needed to happen in our country because kids are more mobile and there were lots of problems in the country that were creating gaps because we didn't have common standards and common assessments. But the bottom line is we've come a long ways over the last 40 years and we've still not narrowed gaps. The answer to gap reduction has always been in instruction, how teachers teach. So one of the reasons why cooperative learning is being embraced across the country is its ability to narrow gaps. It ensures that all kids are engaged in the classroom with the content. Not some kids, not a few kids, but all kids. And because all kids are engaged with the science content or the math content, we ensure that all kids achieve at high levels and we narrow the gaps in achievement between kids. So reason number one is equity and high levels of achievement. There is no more better research intervention in education than cooperative learning. I think, Kelly, you gave them a couple of documents, if I remember correctly, that kind of summarize that. They were kind of just one-page PDFs that gave you an overview of that. So that's reason number one. A lot of districts join us, is to find an equitable solution to closing gaps. The second reason may be as important or maybe more important than that. And it has to do with how the world of work has changed. So look, there was a report, I'm big on reports I guess, but there was a report that came out in the year 2000. In fact, I have a copy of it. You can see it right here. It is a big old honkin' thing. Honkin' means large in Texas. That's what it means. But most educators never saw it because it was done by the U.S. Department of Labor, not by the U.S. Department of Education. And what the U.S. Department of Labor did in the SCANS report, that's what it's called, is they asked corporate America, what do you want schools to produce in terms of a worker? So there's always been a direct connect between education and the world of work. It's been pretty fuzzy for a long time, but that has changed dramatically since 2000. And what came out of that report from Corporate America was we do not need people that can come into our businesses now and stand on an assembly line and do a repetitive task over and over again alone, i.e. self-initiative, good work ethic. We want that, but we need something else now in the world of work. What we need are people who can not only work well alone, but they can work well with others. They need skills of interdependence. And the bottom line is this. I'm guessing if we compared our backgrounds when we were kids going to school, everybody that's in this meeting right now, and maybe it was what age, you can tell, I'm 64, so I may be the oldest person on the call right here. But I'm guessing our experience as children was very much the same. We sat in rows, we worked alone, and every once in a while we may have worked with a friend in some kind of unstructured way. What got developed in us by sitting in rows and working alone were skills of independence. We learned how to work hard and have good self-initiative, to stay on task. What we did not learn was how to work with others. And the world of work has radically changed. I have 4 grown children, 2 daughters that are both married. All 4 of my kids are in the world of work. 3 of them, all 4 of them, on almost a daily basis, work with others during the course of their workday. 3 of them are officially on teams as defined by their place of employment. The world of work is an interdependent world. The number one reason people get fired in America has nothing to do with their knowledge. The number one reason, hands down, is people can't get along with their peers. That's the reason people get fired in corporate America. So the beauty of cooperative learning is, number one, while we're narrowing gaps, that first reason, while a science teacher is using cooperative activities to improve science scores, while a math teacher is using those activities to improve math achievement, simultaneously, we're putting kids in a position to practice skills. We call them employability skills, sometimes we call them soft skills, but they're practicing skills that are going to carry over into the world of work. They're practicing communication, they're practicing teamwork, collaboration, problem solving. Those kinds of things you can't talk to kids about. That's a curricular approach. You have to put them in a position to practice those things starting when they're 5 years of age, so that when they leave us and go to their families or go to their worlds of work, they know how to function in interdependent fashions. So when I'm working with districts, I would just say these are the 2 reasons in both of the districts where I was superintendent while we got into this. And those are the 2 predominant reasons why people across this country it is blowing up with us on how many people are putting cooperative learning into practice. It's got a research base of 50 years that shows kids achieve at higher levels, and simultaneously it equips them with the skill sets that they need in order to function effectively in the place of employment wherever they go. I don't know, those are the 2 big thoughts that I have. I know that those are thoughts that we've talked about when I've been there with your people. Kelly or Dustin, or board members, if you have other things that you want to ask me, I got one last thing before we close, but if there's something else you'd like me to address, I'm happy to do so.
Do you have any questions or no?
Everybody good?
No questions.
All right, well, two quick things, and then I went a little longer than my 4 to 5 minutes, so I'm sorry on that. And I got a haircut for you and put a tie on. I mean, I was ready. I'm going to send you, these are called, we call them mini books. I'm going to send you one for each of the board members. And your teachers, when they go to training with us, they get a big honking book when they go through it. But I will tell you, with both of my boards, we did this as a book read, and I'm not telling you to do that, but it's something you might want to talk about. This is like Reader's Digest condensed version of the books that your teachers get when they go through training. It is awesome. I had all my principals, we kept a half dozen of these in our buildings. So if a parent had a question, we gave them a copy of this and said, this is what we're doing. And it highlights the things that I've talked about, plus a host of other things. So I'm gonna send those to Kelly, and Kelly, you can give those to them. And then you guys can do what you want with them. But it'll go into greater depth, the things that I've talked about, and some other things as well. Awesome, awesome resource on this. And then the last thing I want to say before I close it is this. I kind of referenced this in my opening remarks. Look, I am working with a lot of districts across our country. And I have been in it a long time. And I mentioned that I'm working with 50 to 60, in some capacity, 50 to 60 districts in Kentucky. I went and looked in our records how many districts we've worked with in Kentucky. We've touched almost every district in the state in some fashion. But I can probably count on one hand, maybe two, the number of districts that are doing it right. And you're one of them. When I was there doing the coaching workshop this summer, and the cooperative meetings workshop this summer with leaders, I told your people, and I want the board members to hear this. You know, you get to working in an organization for a while, and you get to thinking that, you know, maybe others are doing a better job of this than we are here in our own place. I'm an objective person. I don't know you people from Adam, but I can tell you there are very few districts in this country that are having the conversations that you're having in Clark County. I am convinced, and I'm not trying to be redundant, but I'm convinced the single most important thing that we can do for children is deal with teachers' pedagogy. How teachers teach is more important in their future lives than what we teach them. I'm an old high school English teacher, language arts, and I like Shakespeare. If there's any high school English language arts people there, don't beat me up next time I come to town for what I'm getting ready to say. But you can make it in this world if you don't read Shakespeare. I think you should, okay? I think you should. But you can make it without it. You cannot make it in this world. Kids that are 5, 10, 15, when they're 30, 45, and 50, the world of work, if they can't function in interdependent settings, if they can't be collegial, if they can't build relationships with their work partners, if they can't communicate well, they're in trouble. So I applaud you, and I'm so proud of your leadership team there for being willing to tackle this. I'm proud of your teachers, I'm proud of your leaders, I'm proud of your principals, a group of people that are trying to join hands and sing Kumbaya on this. This is unique. The fact that we're having this conversation right now is unique. I know very few boards of education who deal with what's most important, and that's teaching and learning. So I applaud you. I tout you. I sing your praises across Kentucky and literally around the country. When people ask me, well, how do you roll this out? How do you do this? And I say to them, let me tell you about Clark County, Kentucky. Because this is what they're doing to make this happen. We're doing it right. So I know sometimes we can get bogged down in all the muck of what goes on in running schools. I got that from spending 20 years at central office. But know this, your people are going down the right road. I applaud you for dealing with instruction. We've dealt with curriculum and assessment for 40 years and we've not narrowed gaps. The answer lies in how teachers teach. And you guys are well down the road on being a model district for not just Kentucky, but people around this country and what needs to happen. All right, good chatting with you guys. I'll send you those books, and I'll be back next summer, I think, Kelly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So we haven't worked out those details yet, but I'm looking forward to watching you and keeping my eyes on you.
Thank you.
Have a good 3-hour board meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Acknowledge literacy liftoff update. Ms. Pickton.
So earlier tonight, we acknowledged many of our staff members that were a part of Literacy Liftoff. Again, as I prefaced before, this initiative has been monumental in our district in really closing the achievement gap that Vern mentioned and really providing for our students the extra support that they need in literacy during the summer. I'm going to give you a few details with regards to Literacy Liftoff. So this program ran for 2 months, 3 months in June and 3 months in July for a total of 18 days. The students were with us for 4 hours on each of those days. We were able to provide them with breakfast and lunch and transportation each of those days, which was crucial and monumental in making sure that our students arrived, they were there, and then also getting fed. 75% of the day that they were with us, we focused on literacy, being very intentional with our literacy instruction. All of our teachers have been trained in IMSE Orton Gillingham instruction, which is a very instructional and intentional focus on how to teach literacy and the scope and sequence of what they should teach and then how they should teach it. We had attended, or in attendance was approximately 142 students that were just exiting our kindergarten, first and second grade. And in each of those classes, we capped them at 12 or less. So some days was obviously lower than the 12, but we tried to be very intentional with our smaller class sizes. Our teachers also gave assessments every single week to track where our students were at, so that way we could make adjustments and really make sure that we were meeting the needs of all of our students. So I'm going to ask Jordan Fulks to lead us through a lot of the assessments and the growth that we saw throughout the summer with pertains to literacy liftoff.
Yes, so thinking about how to make this make the most sense, there was assessment given at the end of last school year by every single K through 2 teacher. That way we could identify students that had deficits within literacy so that the instruction provided throughout that program was super intentional. So really, the way we started off helped us because we were able to meet those kids exactly where they were at. And if we wouldn't have given that assessment, then we wouldn't have been able to make our instruction as intentional as it was. So looking at that assessment, it is aligned directly to IMSE and the scope and sequence that's taught within the Reading Foundations. So that was given before the program and then at the very end of the program. So that assessment allowed us to see exactly what growth was made throughout the entire program. So to make this make most sense, about half of the students were working on kindergarten phonics skills and half of the students were working on first grade skills. Because the assessments are aligned by grade level, obviously, because that's when you're teaching foundations, you have to be within the grade level. So that's how we tracked it, the mastery. So as you see the growth throughout this presentation, hopefully that'll help clarify a few things, okay? So we had a spreadsheet. Literally every student was tracked at the beginning and at the end. So a % of mastery was tracked, whether they were working on kindergarten skills or first grade skills. And then at the end, that mastery was tracked again to calculate an average growth rate, okay? So we had a growth rate for every child, and then we tracked average rate based on all of those students working in the kindergarten skills and then all of those students working in the first grade skills. So you want to have any questions about how we tracked the growth, and then we'll get into the actual data, because this data is outstanding. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was just.
All the hard work that went into the program, it really shows, and we're excited to see what we can do in the future with this as well. So looking forward to the data, we'll talk about the kiddos that we're working on those kindergarten skills. So when we started tracking this, we realized that yes, there were 68 students who were working on the mastery of kindergarten skills, but Ms. Fithen noticed that with attendance, it might make more sense to show you all what was the average growth rate for the ones that attended the most time, and then what was the average growth rate for the ones that didn't attend as much. So looking at the next slide, for students that only missed 3 days or less, the average growth rate was 30.2% in only 18 days, 4 hours each day. I mean, that's crazy. So, great job. And even for the ones that didn't attend as often, you're looking at students that missed more than 3 days. The average growth rate was still 17.3, which is still huge growth, but a huge difference for the ones that attended more so. Okay, so those are your students that were working on kindergarten skills. So we're gonna call that kindergarten growth, and there's a graph within those slides that shows that, just a visual. So moving forward to the kiddos that were working on first grade skills, the growth was still there, and that shows the dedication throughout the program. So if you look at first grade, looking at those kiddos that attended the most, 33%.
Which is phenomenal.
And then looking at the kiddos that missed, more than 3 days, 23%, which is still outstanding.
Can we clap again?
Yeah. Yeah. So why we bring this to y'all's attention is just, this is the program that we're using on a daily basis in the classroom right now. But we were thinking about those kiddos that didn't necessarily have that intentional instruction, using the IMSE structure. So going back and making sure that we're meeting needs and filling deficits so that our kiddos can learn to read and be successful. So really, we need to focus on next steps now. We know that it works. We know the data's there. So Ms. Fithen, do you want to finish this off with some next steps?
Yes. We will continue. Last year was the first year that we really implemented this district-wide. We had one school that piloted the year before, but last year all of our teachers were trained and we implemented this. We do know that with anything new, it takes time to see a lot of the results and growth district-wide, but already we are starting to see growth from implementing this in our classrooms. We are making sure that we have a dedicated time in our master schedule that is allocated to phonics instruction, and ensuring that we're all following this scope and sequence so that regardless of which school or which grade level or which classroom or which teacher that you have, we are making sure that all teachers are receiving equitable instruction, and it is very intentional for what we are doing in our district. And we are closing achievement gaps by being intentional. Our teachers, I cannot applaud them enough. The amount of training that they have poured into this, and then even outside of the training, the amount of time that they take to make sure that we are providing the best high quality instruction for our teachers is just phenomenal, and I cannot applaud them enough. With regards to Literacy Liftoff, we want to make sure that we are always providing what is best for our students and meeting their needs. So any students that need additional support, we do plan to provide this next year. I did poll all of the teachers afterwards to get input on what can we do better. While I do think it was very successful and an amazing program, we can always improve and try to think of things, what can we do to make it better for our students? And one thing that we do want to focus on and be more intentional is the attendance. While it is summer, we want to do different attendance initiatives to make sure that our students are there every day, because as the data shows, if they're with us, we can really make moves. So I thank you all and applaud you all for being a part of this and really being behind this program the entire way, and I thank everybody involved. So thank you all.
I like to say I thank all the teachers that spent their summer working with these children. Thank you all so much. And I know that you're going to make a huge difference as they continue on this school year. So thank you for taking time out of your summer break to do that.
Thank you all.
Oh, he's got a break. He's got to take a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a call 5-minute recess real quick, so we'll be back at 7:35. That's your time, Billy.
I just need a quick break.
That's fine. I need to
Make the
go.
world go round.
That's exactly 100%.
We're taking a break.
Yeah, I know. That's what I figured your message said. That's why I was like.
And I just now saw your text, so sorry.
Oh, no, that's right. It ended up being.
I have no.
need to go back to the minutes. I had left for the regular meeting on July 22nd, so I need to take my name out of that vote. So what do I need to do, Becky?
Just recall your vote, so that'll show it being 4-0.
Okay, so I just need to recall my vote on I was here for the special meeting, but I left.
Let me just split it.
Well, I'm just recalling.
Compared to July 22nd with the special meeting with the regular.
Oh, okay, so we just need
You
to
were
go
at
back.
weren't you at the special? You
I
weren't
was,
here for
I
the
left, I
regular.
was sick. I went home. That was my foot hurting so bad. So we need to redo it, Becky?
Yeah, because you did it together. Yeah, just redo those two.
Okay. So I will make a motion for the July 22nd, 2024 special meeting minutes. So,
Second.
second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. And then we need a motion for the July 22nd, 2024 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the July 22nd regular meeting.
Motion by Mr. Dorsey.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Okay, did we mess y'all up there? Okay. Okay, now we're back to, sorry Kelly.
We're good.
We are, consider approval of CCPS Innovation Center name update and access road naming.
Okay, Justin, if you can fast forward to the slides that say July and August, everything before that is just a follow-up of what we've done in the months prior, where we took input. We got people to input name suggestions, whether we wanted to name it after a person or name it after some type of innovative name. So we went all those routes for several months, and then last month we arrived at having 5 top names to bring before you all, and I asked that we push those 5 names out and cast voting so that we could figure out what was our top name. So if you'll fast forward to the next slide that has the survey results. We had 324 responses on the naming and selecting the top one, and coming in at 36.2%, which was equivalent to 117 votes, was the Cardinal Center. Coming in behind was the Cardinal Success Academy, and so forth. So tonight I bring and ask you to approve that we name our Innovation Center going from the results, the Cardinal Center. However, I do recommend that we do slide in the innovation as part of the name so that it would be the Cardinal Innovation Center.
I agree.
The next slide, I believe it is, Justin, or maybe the one right after that. We were just mocking around with some of, just plain, we would, if approved, we would figure out a logo. We would make sure that we encompass all of the things that are at the center. This one does not have the innovation. This was just playing around with some names after we saw the results. But if approved, we would like to put in the innovation part of the name, and then all of the aspects that would be within the center, so Phoenix Academy, Cardinal Virtual Academy, our STEM Academy, everything that we have housed at the Cardinal Innovation Center, we would then make sure that we have represented in the image or the graphic and the logo. So I'm not asking for approval of the logo or the image, but just the name itself.
You want to do that separate, or do you want to go on?
Yes, and then also naming of the access road, but I don't know if you all want to keep those separate so that we could approve possible the name of the building and then possible discuss the naming of the access road.
I think I'm ready to say I would approve the Cardinal Innovation Center. I like that, adding that innovation in that.
Yeah, that really makes it, it just kind of rounds it out. I don't know how else to express that.
You want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the name of the building, the the Cardinal Innovation Center, centered on student success no matter the direction.
Motion by Ms. Hall.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0.
It has also been suggested to have the access road that takes you down to the Cardinal Innovation Center, to have that named as well. So I would like to open that up if you all have suggestions, if you all would like for us to get input, or if there's some direction that you all would like to provide in order to possibly name the access road.
I asked them to put this on there. I actually had asked that we consider naming it after Marty Jackson, being as he was always in front of that school, that building, that area, well, not that building, but that area. I would love to see us do something for Martin Jackson. So that's where this came from. However, we do have Jackson, is it Avenue or Street?
Jackson Street.
So it would have to be, it couldn't be Jackson Street.
Marty Jackson Way or American
I like that.
Marty Jackson, you know,
I like Marty
trail or
Jackson.
what, you know, but you can use the, whatever kind of, that'll keep them kind of separate.
Yeah. That was my thinking on that, is I would like to do something for Marty, for
Absolutely.
so. That's kind of where me and Mr. Howard are bouncing back and forth on that to see what you guys think.
What do we have to do? Do we have to get any approval from the city for that, or?
We were kind of thinking we would do our approval if you all were in favor of this, and then let Mr. Howard go for it.
Sure, we would follow up and then present it and jump through whatever hoops, but I felt like if I had the board approval, I would have a much more leverage to start with that first, so.
I mean, I think that we have went above and beyond to name this building. Like, you worked so hard. I don't know that we need to do the same thing for this particular road. That road's never been named. It was just a road when I was in high school a few years ago. So, I like the idea, and I think it would honor a person who absolutely was dedicated to school safety for years. So, I agree with you, actually. And I like Mr. Bennett, your suggestion, so.
So do we want to,
Marty Jackson Way.
or Marty Jackson Trail?
Yeah.
Trail is kind of like a walking trail. So
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
do, I think the way is a
Marty
good
Jackson
thing.
Way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he directed traffic his way.
They sure did.
Okay, well, if the board is okay, then I will make a motion that we name the access road going to the new Cardinal Innovation Center, Marty Jackson Way.
A second?
Motion by Ms. Ritchie, second by Paul. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fitton.
Consider approval of non-resident student enrollment, 09.12, subsection 22. James King.
Good evening. This first one here has deleted some language. The biggest thing is each year, non-resident students had to reapply a lot of paperwork. This year makes it a passive enrollment to where they automatically enroll unless they don't keep up their end of the bargain of attendance, grades, or behavior. And then we would have paper trail with letters informing them they're in jeopardy, and then if they had not met the expectation, then they would not be able to re-enroll the following year. So I feel like it's something needed as far as the passive enrollment.
Any questions, comments, or motions?
I will make the motion that we accept the non-resident student transfer form, the changes on the non-resident student transfer registration form.
Motion by Mr. Bennett.
We're on the enrollment policy.
Policy, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry, I was
No,
looking at
that's
the
okay.
form.
All right, you want to restate it, Billy, just to be, so that way it's right? So we don't, what are you making a motion for?
I'm making a motion that we, I make a motion that we consider approval, that we approve the non-resident student enrollment.
Okay. Motion by
Clause.
Mr. Bennett again,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Consider approval of non-resident student transfer registration form.
Because of that, then we need to change some language in the actual registration form. So it's not granted for 1 school year, it's granted until the student is unenrolled.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the non-resident student enrollment form.
Motion by Ms. Hall. I'll second. Second by Ms.
Or
Simpkins.
it's actually transfer registration form, I'm sorry, not enrollment.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider approval of change order number 2 to M.P. Kelly Design and Construction in the amount of $97,159.92 for work performed on the Clark County Phoenix Academy renovation project, BG 24-129.
So I will change that language from now on to be the Cardinal Innovation Center.
Okay.
I've got our architect with Restaurant, Brian Buckner here, and Jack Kelly, who are the leads on this job. We've obviously, as we talked about before, run into some things as we were completing this, and I asked Brian to come and give you guys some more info about these change orders. I told him he had 4 to 5 minutes, not 45 minutes.
All right.
I've learned my lesson from previous board meetings. I will try to run through these really quickly. First off, it's a big number, right? So this is the total project cost right now is around 1.6 million for the Phoenix Academy, Cardinal Center Renovation, Cardinal Innovation Center renovation. Now, I will kind of preface this with the age of the facility. It's complex. We're running into a lot of issues with exposed systems now that they're getting through demolition on the project. I'll also say that at this point, we're past the point of surprises. So we've done all of the demolition is complete on that building, so the things like the sanitary lines that we're uncovering, which make up a good bit of the proposal request to date, we're through that. We should not be expecting anything else in terms of major surprises that are going to drive up additional cost increase on the project. It's not to say that we won't run into anything that we may need to address in the future, but at this point, these types of projects are heavily front-loaded from a change order perspective once you get through that work. So to kind of walk through these a little bit, the way that I would kind of break these out, you'll notice that the numbers aren't exactly sequential. There's actually 3 additional change orders that were in this numbering sequence. We did not have any additional cost incurred. That was due to the efforts with Jack and his crew on the site, working with us and realizing areas that we can make some adjustments to not incur any additional cost. So that's why the numbering's a little bit off, but what you see here are the issues that we've come to face over the past month. I would also break these out into areas of what we consider found conditions, so all the sanitary line work, which makes up a good bulk of those numbers. That was all after they've kind of cut through the concrete, pulled that out, did the hand digging for the installation of the new plumbing fixtures. One of the lines was cracked, kind of a lateral crack that went back under the slab in the adjoining room. Same situation over the new restroom where that's getting expanded, where we're attaching into that line, all of that line was crumbling. It's due to the age of the building. It's one of those things you can't really tell during design when you're looking through existing spaces. So in order to fix that, we kind of have 2 options. One is that you can try to demolish out to the point where the cracking stops or where it's not failing anymore in terms of the crumbling and replace a section of that. we kind of elected to move forward with replacing the lines in their entirety out to the sanitary line outside of the building. The reason being is that, all of the conversations we've had to date, this building is a resource for the district. This is going to be something that we're going to try to keep online for years to come. Obviously, kind of a testament to the renaming of the facility today. So, both the contractor team, us, as well as working with Brandon and building the district, felt like the right thing to do was to just go ahead and replace them in full and avoid kind of having issues in the long run with it. So the CT cabinet, that's another one of the big items here. This was a request from KU. It's a current transformer cabinet. There's a CT cabinet that is on the power pole that provides current access to the building as is. It was not included in the design because we didn't think we needed to replace it at the time. As KU came out afterwards, the CT cabinet in its current configuration, they felt like didn't meet their updated specifications for new CT cabinets. They've also requested that it move inside the building for protecting the unit as well as easier maintenance for that. It's a big number. Anytime we're dealing with a lot of electrical work, we tend to see that definitely drive up. The amount of lines coming in, the construction of the cabinet itself. Luckily, we had space for it. We had a mechanical room that was sized large enough to incorporate that in, and we were able to do that. But again, that's the cost for this. This is also something that each of these change orders, we've worked very closely with Jack and the guys at MD Kelly to go back and forth on these. This was one of the ones that we had a price reduction on after walking through some of the line items on it. The structural bracing at the restroom wall. One of the walls that we are busting through to enlarge the restrooms and the men's restroom side is actually a double wall construction bearing situation. So above ceiling, there's two full CMU courses that run up there. We can't take one section of that wall down and do traditional bracing on the single wide CMU portion, so we had to kind of address it in its current existing state. What that meant is that we had an enhanced bearing capacity and an enhanced bracing condition that involves two steel channels that run the length of that restroom, are bolted through every 16 inches on center, and a plate that was attached to the bottom to help reinforce it. So again, this is another situation. We worked with Jack. We actually reduced the size of that opening and reconfigured that restroom a good bit in terms of the ADA stall, and we're able to kind of shorten that up. So what you see here is a price that's also less than what our kind of initial take was on the size of that opening. The relocation of the existing switchgear. So I think you all are aware that switchgear lead time has extended out past the substantial completion of the project. So that's a new switchgear that's providing the electrical service for the building. We're seeing that kind of across the board on new projects right now. Lead times extending well past where we had been seeing them. And we actually ran into this recently in the preschool. They kind of bumped that out by several months. Luckily, the schedule on that project was such that it didn't impact it. In this situation, it does. It's kind of more of a fast burn, accelerated project schedule. So we kind of went through a few different options, one of which was to have the contractor provide temporary power to the facility to bring it back online for students in the fall. That was going to incur a lot of additional cost. The other option that the electrician came up with was, we have an existing switchgear on the project, maybe we can dismantle it, move it into the new mechanical room, and temporarily bring it back up online until the new switchgear arrives in the spring. So that seemed to make a lot of sense for everybody. We saved about $15,000 on the cost of that transfer by switching out one of the line types that are coming in. It's a material change that you all are already doing in the district elsewhere. So I think that was a big kind of win in terms of kind of cutting that cost down. The other big one, the biggest one out of this whole bunch, is the door openings and thresholds. So I'll try to explain this as succinctly as I can. We have multiple door openings that we're cutting into existing CMU walls. Those CMU walls are ungrouted all the way through, so they're not reinforced like we typically run into. The second thing is when we actually went in, they did work to kind of cut into those frames. Where those are located with the cells in the CMU, they're not able to install the hollow metal door jambs as they should and be able to route those in solid and attach them appropriately. What that's led to is having to expand the demolition around each of those door openings to knock out the CMU as well as the glazed tile that runs up to about 6 feet in height on the corridor side. So when you're thinking about a door frame, you're pushing that out, it's affecting the head conditions, the jambs on the sides, as well as the foundation condition where we're cutting through. It's involving additional concrete work at the threshold condition where you have to infill over the footing portion. They're having to get in and expand the bond beam length over it so it has bearing capacity on either side. The big problem that we ran into is that this existing wall configuration is actually two pieces of CMU or concrete masonry unit backed up to one another. On the front side, it's a 4-inch glazed block unit, which was very typical for the construction of that time period. On the back side, we had another piece of 4-inch CMU. So breaking all that out and extending it out, and then doing the toothing in so it looks flush and consistent once it's finished, has added a lot of cost. Part of that is the glazed block itself. It's having to come from Texas. It's not something that's readily available. But in order for us to look at this facility when it's complete and having consistency in the wall configuration going down, we felt like that was the best option over just putting in traditional CMU where you would notice it looked like these walls had been cut in and reconfigured all the way down the corridor. So that's where that cost is coming from. If you all have any additional questions, I can share photos and any additional backup. Try not to talk too long.
Any questions?
So all this work that you're gonna do, I mean, this is gonna really extend the life of this building.
Yes,
This-
especially with the sanitary situation, like absolutely. I mean, some of this work is gonna have to be done in terms of the bracing, the wall configurations, but the sanitary work absolutely will extend the life of those fixtures. We're not gonna have the plumbing issues that you all were facing before. I'll also add that even with this cost increase, this is still under the estimate that we have for this project, even factoring the past proposal requests. It's also less than the second bid on the project. So if you look at some of these other kind of benchmark considerations, and again, you know, Jack and the guys over at NP Kelly have been doing a great job. They've been very transparent. They brought these issues up to us immediately, and we've had time to work through them and try not to impact the schedule on it.
Any more questions? Not, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the change order to MP Kelly Design and the construction in the amount of $97,159.92.
Motion by Mr. Dorsey. Second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Something done, you might as well do it right.
Yeah.
Really, I'm surprised we didn't end up with more.
Well, bathrooms, something like that.
Acknowledge the new Help E Pro menu software. Dr. Muncy.
Hello. I just wanted to share and make you aware of our new menu software and some of the wonderful things that it offers that we've not had in the past. It just went online right before school started, so this is really new and an opportunity hopefully for you all to share it with those you know. So when you're on the district website, there's several places you can go to our food service department, but you can also always go to the Fork and Spoon, the Fork and Knife. When you get here, it's going to offer you the opportunity to pick a school. We're going to pick GRC, and we're going to pick lunch. From here, you're going to go down. Each school has their logo on it, and it'll let you see all the wonderful entrees we offer every single day, which we're pretty excited about. We went to a 4-week cycle, and we have lots of things we offer every day. So children should not be able to say, there's nothing to eat. We even tried to cater to those picky eaters. Mr. Watkins, he must have left to the restroom. We joke with him about his child. There's always something for the picky eater. You can always go to the hamburger, it's called, with the drop-down box. And there's really cool things on the side. For instance, I worked with Mr. Kugel to make him aware to let all the students in our district with ESL know that there are ways to switch it to their language. If you have allergens, worked with the school nurses. I met with them right before school started to let them know that if they had a student with an allergy, say it was milk, you can click that, and then when you scroll down, it'll mark a line through any item that has that allergen in it. So that's really helping our nurses and helping our managers. Our point of sale system automatically pops up an allergen when a child goes through the line, but this is also helpful for when they're menu planning for that child because we have to make sure we have alternate meals. My favorite probably though is the print menu because it does everything. All those other buttons are also available on print menu. If you're at home and you're wanting to print this and you're wanting to save ink, you can turn off the logo. You can scroll down and you know what the milk choices are every day. You can say take that off and take the condiments off. I know they're on there every day. And so you're just shrinking that down in there to help you save some ink. But more importantly, you can also filter your allergens from here and you can play with nutrient options. The nurses were quite excited about that because of the number of diabetic students we have in our district.
Yeah.
For instance, they can find carbohydrates, and it will then list out beside each item the number of carbohydrates for that student, so they can help plan their meals where if a student was really wanting to have an apple that day, they can have the apple and they'll work with them to, I don't know if you know that, but your nurses work with that student for their menu to see what they can have the rest of the week and still meet their dietary components. And even one of the cool things I love as well is, at the high school you have a lot of athletes, and protein has become a really big thing in the last few years. So they can even tell, a coach can tell their athletes, I want you to get, and I had a doctor tell me just a couple of years ago, I want 60 to 90 grams of protein a day in your diet, and you're like, what? You can monitor it this way and help make sure you get your protein. But pretty quick, but I just wanted you to know existed. We're pretty excited about it and some of the wonderful things that it offers.
Thank you.
Any
Yeah,
questions?
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
That's great.
Didn't know it was there, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And another shout out, we need to do our forms. Apparently I didn't know there was a separate place to do the free and reduced lunch form that all parents need to go in and do.
It is very handy
I
if
didn't
you
do
do
mine.
it. I will go ahead and give a
Okay.
shout out. We are a CEP district, yes, so
Yes.
all students eat free, which is wonderful.
Right.
Our district, we hit what's called 60%
Right.
on that. And if you look at that, you have elementary schools that are 100% free and reduced lunch, and then you get to the high school, and it drops significantly. And we know that all of a sudden, all those kids just didn't all of a sudden stop being free and reduced lunch.
Yeah.
Well, what happens is they quit filling out the form, and then being a CEP school district, you think, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. But there's so many benefits if they do that at the high school level. For instance, it could help them get free ACT, free AP testing. It can waive school fees if they had those. So it can really offer a lot of benefits to our students if they go ahead and fill that out. So
You
yes.
just go into the portal and there's like a
Yes.
section, like I didn't even know it was there. I did it today. I felt better after I did it because I did all the other forms and then I got this email and I'm like, I did all my forms, but then I realized I didn't do the free and reduced.
And there's even a box, if you know you're not going to qualify, there's even the box where you can fill the form, you can do the top part of the form and then check the box that says, that you
Oh,
don't-
I feel it.
But, okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool.
I got the same reminder email, so I just did mine also.
Yeah, so we shouldn't feel so bad.
Just for transparency out there. Mine is now done as well. For my son and my angel, but,
I
so.
didn't get a reminder, does that mean I did it?
You must have done it. If you didn't get an email.
Yeah, everyone gets emails if they know. Even the superintendent.
Consider approval to purchase 13 AEDs to replace old units. Mr. Snell.
All right, if you look at the spreadsheet, the serial number, the number right after the X gives you the year that they were purchased, or the year that they were manufactured. The average lifespan, the recommended replacement's 8 to 10 years. We've got 13 that are well beyond that lifespan. We'd like to replace them roughly $1,500–1,600 per unit. Was $100 and some dollars for the pediatric pads to go with them.
Said the number after that.
So
And you're done.
That's all I got.
Brevity. And that's brevity, folks.
it's talking about expiration for pads. Is that the pads that's inside the thing that
Yes.
you put on the? So it's not, that's just the pad piece that expires, not the actual unit.
On the, go back to the spreadsheet there. Yes. Yeah, these are the pad expiration dates. They're manufactured, like number 2 here is manufactured in 06. Number 3 is 08.
Where is the date for that? Exactly.
So, there's a.
Oh, is it the first number?
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
The first 2 numbers after the X tell you what year they were manufactured. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some old units.
Which fund is this gonna come out of?
Come out of the district athletic fund.
Is there a way to possibly, I don't know, it's just, a lot, so they all were, maybe just start with the oldest ones, like, and do half and half or something like that, I'm just trying to
Does this cover all fields? Is that what this is gonna do? And, well, gyms, fields.
This would get us through if we replace them all now, these would be good for roughly 10 years. The next round of replacements would be roughly 2027. Would be
Okay.
the next time you have to replace.
I'm kind of with Dora here, like, do we want to do them all at the same time to where they end up hitting at the same time?
Well, that's what I don't think they are. That's what you just said. We got more that's gonna come due in 2027, but I haven't got it. to
Yeah,
that.
well, I mean, I see the pad.
We've got every athletic program is covered, with an AED. Every athletic program, every school.
Yeah, because there is a lot down here.
Mine knocked me off. My internet's not liking me today.
It shows the location.
I'm just trying to make sure that we're, like, so let's look at the one at Baker. So it was purchased in 2006. That's the part I'm not seeing the date that it was purchased.
It was, the AED, I don't know when it was purchased, but the one we got was manufactured in '06. I'm assuming.
Oh, it was manufactured.
I'm assuming it was purchased somewhere around '06, but that's the manufacturer date.
Okay. And so then because the expiration date, that's what's throwing me off, is like these expiration dates are 26 and 27.
Those are just the pads.
Okay.
The pads detached from the unit.
Do you understand how they work, the AEDs? So,
It's a pretty important piece of equipment.
well, I know it's important, I'm just,
Just,
this big chunk of money, is it imperative that we replace every single one of these, or should we start like with the most out of date and,
well, I mean, that would be a good place to start. If you want to phase it in, you could just say, okay, anything that's expiring in '06, or 2026, we'll try to replace. That way you kind of have you set up a pipeline. So you've already got those units, you know when they expire, and then you can go back. And every X amount of years, you'll be able to replace, these five, these 8. So you'll be on a kind of a schedule, which is always easy to keep track of.
You're saying the units are only good for 8 to 10 years?
That's the recommendation, yes.
So if we got these in '06, they
It looks, yeah,
2016.
39.
that's what I want to make sure, like, start with the schools and then at the high school, so, but then we just changed the battery of the one at the ATC in July.
Yes.
So, is it that you have to replace it completely, or just do maintenance on them, or?
The batteries, we have to we check the AEDs once a month. The custodians check the AEDs once a month. We replace the batteries as needed. Typically, batteries are going to last 5 years, roughly. The AED will tell you when the batteries are bad.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, I understand the importance of an AED, and that they are extremely important. I just want to make sure that we are, if we're replacing such a big chunk of money on things, is it something that to make sure there's a reason why we are replacing them. And I'm having a hard time understanding it, because I don't know when we know the serial number, but we don't know when they were placed at the school. I would feel better knowing that before I make a vote. Mr. Howard, do you have any thoughts on it?
Our thought was, out of 39, I think 13 is the number we're replacing. And we felt like that was a decent number to do it in thirds.
These that are at the ATC now, can you bring, if in case of emergency, these also go out to Artie's? Can be used at Artie's? Is this what that goes,
They're portable is what you're asking.
Yes, can they go to the football fields? Can they go if need be? Or do they have?
They can, like, the football field trainer has their own, most of your sports, all of your sports teams, your high school sports have their own AEDs.
Okay.
That travel with them or they're at their facility.
That's part of the list, like we already have them at the football field house, we already have them at RDC football field
Are
house.
they newer? But did they get replaced? I know, I mean, I'm assuming the ones at the high school would be new, or when we did the athletic complex.
And this is built into the athletic budget for this year, correct?
Yes.
So I think we went in planning that this would be the money we spent, not out of general fund, but out of the athletics budget.
Yes, he's asking for it to come out of district athletics. It's just such a large number. You know, we wanted to obviously bring it to the board.
So it's already built into the budget, that's what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, this is something that
But again, if it's the board's will to look at it a different way, we're more than happy to do that.
I mean, I've always been one that when they need to be replaced, let's replace them, let's get them, because it's all great when you don't need them, but the day you do need them and they're not functioning as well, I mean, you check them once a month, but still.
Yeah, and I will say, we're ahead of the game probably. This year's the first year where they're mandating them in every school. We've had them in every school for quite some time. I don't envision us we have 39 now. I don't envision us needing more than that anytime soon. At least not a significant number more than.
I mean, 13 out there, I would be fine with replacing these myself.
I mean, even if you look it up, it's telling you 10 to 15 years online, and we're still past that on these.
Yeah. I would be afraid not to replace these and where they're going.
Yeah, I mean, you could do research on it, but just pulling it up, it's anything past the warranty period is not researched. They don't know how effective it will be at that point.
I just want to make sure that when we're replacing them, that we're replacing them in the most strategic way.
Right.
And I can't understand this spreadsheet. I mean, I understand the spreadsheet. It's just, I wish that we knew more like the actual date. I want us to be as transparent as possible. I've had so many constituents reach out to me in the past month. I want to make sure that something like this, even though it is life or death, an AED can absolutely shock. CPR is your best, if something happens, is your first line of defense. And I totally understand that. I just want to make sure that we're being strategic in how we are planning it and we have the data to back it up.
Well, I think from this point on, you can set that into
Yeah.
effect for sure. I mean, I don't know how you could go back and get it before, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't think the purchase date has anything to do with.
Life safety is the date of manufacture.
Yeah.
It's the same on your fire extinguisher or anything. That is, the date that it was manufactured is the date that you go by on your inspection. It's not the date it was purchased or installed.
So we don't have that data manufacturer on the spreadsheet,
That's what you're saying is the 06.
The two
but it
numbers.
says unit serial number. That doesn't,
That means the 06 is 2006. That's part of the serial number it's built in.
Yeah, they're always gonna start with.
So when you see the X05, that means that was manufactured in 2005.
So like number 2 says X06J, blah, blah. That means it's manufactured in 06. And column B.
I will say the other quote that I got was significantly higher.
oh, and they're not, I know, they're,
Why is there not one in maintenance at all? Why is there not one in maintenance at all?
In the maintenance building,
Yeah, Or am I looking at
We
that
should put one
wrong?
there, I guess.
Huh?
I don't know.
I mean, shouldn't we have one there?
Yes, there is. It's number 39, is in maintenance. That's at GRC right now.
What was the extra number 22?
When I got it, it was an extra number 22. Why we had two number 22s, I don't know.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a serial like a unit.
Yeah, okay, so it don't have a, okay. I don't have an extra 22. You have an extra 22?
You're not far enough over.
This way? I don't have my touch screen again.
Is this the first time you all have really taken inventory of this, really look at it? I know it's your first time, probably, but do you think that?
Probably last year was the first time,
What was the extra number?
maybe 2 years ago was the first time we took inventory in it.
So you're on its hand, that's.
Oh, okay, I gotta go this way. Oh, okay. So you do have one, right, Billy? Okay. Make sure you're safe. You go protect teddy bears and all.
Checking the KRS, because there was some changes last year about, see if there's anything about, like, when these have to be replaced. I'm not seeing anything, but it does reference a KRS that says that the AED must be maintained and tested according to the manufacturer's operational guidelines. So I don't know what those would be, or these.
Everything I can find says that 8 to 10 years your lifespan. The manufacturers, so there's a lot of factors involved. Depends on where it's stored, how it's carried, whether it's been used. If it's been used, that goes down significantly from what I understand.
What do you do about this missing one?
You will.
What do we do about the missing one?
I've not found it. Unless that was the extra number 22, that could be.
Yes,
Good.
line 20.
Huh?
Are you saying the one that says missing?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's line 20.
yeah, I mean,
But that could have been the extra
22,
one that
well,
I put in GRC maintenance.
so does he have one that connects with him? Robin?
Girls basketball, labeled as girls basketball number 20.
Yeah, I think there's another spot on there for it.
Yeah, it's right underneath that one. Unit 21.
That's a
GRC
different one.
basketball.
Oh, GRC. Oh, you're talking about,
It's girls' basketball that's missing.
right.
I mean, basketball still has one, but it's
Is that-
mounted, it's a cabinet mounted one. This is a. Mobile.
So with the preschool one, are we gonna put a new one in the old preschool and then move it? Or should we wait until we're ready to open the new preschool?
If we are on track to
Yeah.
go in January, we'll probably wait and put it in there, or maybe we can take it with us, it wouldn't matter. We wouldn't hang it in the cabinet.
We didn't have to hang it.
No.
Alright, well, I feel better now that I understand it. I was just having a really hard time understanding it, but I got it now, so. Are all of our staff trained in the use of AED?
All the staff, no. All your coaches are required to be trained. There's a cardiac emergency response plan in every building where they're required to train a certain number of people in the building.
So you like elementary schools are gonna have somebody.
Every school has a minimum of 3 people.
I mean, anyone could, I mean, you really follow, the directions are in there, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you turn it on, it tells you what you do.
It did, it's very helpful in that way, yeah.
Almost every other one, every 2007.
So, yeah, this is, thank you for making this spreadsheet and explaining it and answering questions.
There's a couple in there that are 2019.
All right, well, hopefully you can find the missing one.
suspect why someone would want an AED. I'm sure.
Right.
Any more questions? Since it's built into the budget?
No. Well, do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay. All right, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve to purchase 13 AEDs as outlined in the spreadsheet.
All right, motion by Mr. Bennett.
Second.
Second by Ms. Simpkins. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Snell. All right. Finance and Human Resource. Procedure Acknowledgement 03.11 AP 242. Verification of employment record updated.
Yeah, so we're just updating our 1960s version. We've added the logo to the top, that's no joke, and we've added some new contact information to it. So it just has more of the information that we need for bringing on new employees.
Any questions? If not, we may like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the verification record update.
Motion by Ms. Hall. Second? I'll second. That's what I was getting to. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Consider approval of job description update.
The diagnostician.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
this was a fun one that we
I
just
stopped
brought.
right in the middle of that, didn't I? My bad.
You're fine.
I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to go home. I'm tired.
So this is a fairly new job description that we created in collaboration with our Exceptional Children's Department to, as a way to remedy not having as many school psychologists in the talent pool. So we brought this job description a couple months ago. We've had the position posted, and the talent pool is still very shallow. So what we would like to do is, with your approval, underneath the qualifications, to change from required teacher certification to preferred teacher certification, but still require the EC background along with psychology or related field for the diagnostics part.
Any questions or comments? Or a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Bennett,
Second.
second by Mr. Dorsey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of monthly CCPS financial update.
Yep, so I'm gonna walk us through this. Miss Ellis was not able to attend tonight, so, found out kinda late. So luckily, we're very, very early in the fiscal year for us, since everything rolls over pretty much in July. Most of our, we'll get into some of the conversations about, collection rate and tax rate later on, but essentially, if you'll kind of go to the second slide, as far as expenditures, expenses, no change at all, just a slight change. I mean, again, you're talking 3 to 5%. If you go to the next slide, there's not a whole lot to talk about. It's a bunch of zeros, right? So it just, again, way, way early. We're literally just starting to get financial stuff. So if she's going to miss any month, this was a decent month to miss. As far as there's not going to be a whole lot of information. Again, as far as the next slide, tax collection 1%. Again, vehicle tax collection 7%. Just way, way, way early. You guys had any other questions? Again, the other things that you guys will be looking at are just school fundraiser requests, booster agreements that I sign off on, and then surplus items. It'll be under consent. Questions?
Questions? Comments? Okay, that was an acknowledgement. Authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable.
And I think Alicia says on this one, we need to pay people.
Yeah, pay the bills.
I think I summarized that. We respect some people won't pay in the audience, that's good.
I'll make the motion to authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable And for those watching, or, that we can go through this before we don't just sit here and we look at this way before this meeting, so.
Correct.
Just make that point, but I'll make a motion to approve
Motion
and
by,
pay people.
motion by Ms. Vaughn,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Consider discussion and approval of 2024 tax rate.
So I asked our financial fiscal advisor, which is Compass Municipals, Mr. Palmer, to kind of be with us in case you guys had any questions.
Mr. Palmer, do you understand this map here, like which area of Clark County was reassessed this year? Do you have any idea? Because I can't figure it out. I know it's like where I live, I know it's part of my district, but I don't, the rest of it, I'm not sure.
Well, I haven't seen that map, but I can tell you that, I'm gonna guess it's the green quadrant, because I got reassessed.
You got reassessed, so I thought it said, so you live in the green quadrant, you sure you're not in the yellow?
I think I'm in the green.
I mean, I know which road you live, I'm not gonna say it out loud or anything.
Most people probably do, it's okay.
But
I'm good.
It's just really, that's the part that is hard to understand. And I wish it was more transparent. Because in our information we have is that, I know that part of mine, I live in Westmead, which is off of McClure Road. And and I know where my supervisor lives on into I like to call it the wine streets. We have the wine, the duck, the flowers. That's how all of our neighborhoods back there. So I know the wine streets were assessed, but then if you keep going further back, I don't think they all were. So it's just, and I know the duck streets weren't. So it's just, yeah. So there's no rhyme or reason to this, and so it's hard to know.
I cannot tell you by looking at that map.
Yeah.
But obviously, we know that that's required each quadrant every 4 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure we could find that answer for you.
Just because we have had multiple emails from our constituents about things, and there's a statement. Are you going to read the statement, or that explains?
Sure, I can kind of summarize or kind of what.
Because I think it really was helpful for me to read that statement out loud to understand it, just to know what we're doing. And are we allowed to read this out loud? I mean, the tax discussion? Yeah. I just think it does a good job of just understanding what the compensating rate is versus the increase, that it's not necessarily an increase, but this verbiage is very good. This explains it so much better than anything I've read. So.
Sure, I can just go kind of through this. Miss Ellis and I kind of put this together.
Yes.
So just bear with me and I'll read that way. I'm not memorizing and several things, but I won't make eye contact like I typically do. So we just kind of put, the responsibility of us, our office, Board of Education, we have to the community, the taxpayers and the parents of our students that attend our school, is that we must be financially responsible and good stewards of the taxpayer dollars we receive, while also providing for the needs of our staff, to educate our students, to meet the needs of our students, and to maintain our facilities and resources. We are, in fact, a business, but our business is our students, and it takes revenue to maintain the operational expenditures of any business, any household. We currently spend around 84.7%, about 85 is what I put in my notes, of our revenue goes to salaries. So we're really running our district off of around 15% of our total budget from the taxpayers on operational expenses. Our business and our employees, along with every other business and personal households, have been affected by inflation. Our staff, and I say staff, have had to work multiple jobs just to stay afloat. Sometimes as many as 3 jobs that I've heard stories from from our teachers, from our custodians, from our cafeteria workers. The average inflation rate since COVID has been around 7%. Prior to that, it was 2%. So it's not getting better, and I'm talking specific because everyone's feeling it. Our taxpayers are feeling it, our employees are feeling it. No business or family can maintain a consistent revenue source year after year and afford inflation of expenditures to operate. I'd like to kind of expand on the tax rate. It coincides with the revenues the district receives to maintain our operations. The rate that has been most discussed is the compensating rate and the 4% rate. So let me kind of explain compensating rate. The compensating rate is designed to calculate the revenue to stay exactly the same as the prior fiscal year, based on increased property values. This means that there would be no additional revenues from local taxes that would be collected in the new fiscal year. All right, so the same is the same. Our revenue as a school district would remain the same, while our operational expenditures would increase due to inflation and the initiatives the board is carrying out to support our students and staff. More specifically, we would lose around $1 million from both the draft budget, which was in January, February, as well as the tentative budget we had in May. However, 4% revenue increase is calculated to allow districts, not just Clark County, all districts, to set a rate that is based on increased property values, would allow them to collect 4% more revenue than in the previous fiscal year. This is not a 4% increase to the tax rate. In fact, in many cases, as this present year, the rate will actually decrease from the prior tax rate based on the percentage of increase in property values. There's very limited ways the school district can increase the revenue streams, and the tax rate is a primary way. I kind of want to circle back and say about being fiscally responsible. We're fiscally responsible, yes, but we also provide services to our staff. We've made unprecedented investments in salaries, $3.1 million. We have to pay people to make sure they have a living wage, but also to make sure we have the very best teachers in front of our kids. In fact, we've also reduced the number of kids in classes. I would argue we probably have some of the lowest class sizes this year we've ever had in elementaries, to reduce, eliminate, not have learning gaps for our kids. We're doing the renovation to the Cardinal Innovation Center. We bought 12 new buses. We put buses for school safety. We put cameras on all the buses, updated cameras, so our kids are safe. We bought new playgrounds for every single school. Kindergarten should be pre-K because we're getting ready to put new ones in a new preschool, all the way through 6th grade. Furniture replacements every year in schools. New Chromebook rotation plan for every school and every student, so our kids are getting new Chromebooks every 4 to 5 years. Expanded preschool, daycare, aftercare services, and almost a great investment with 75-inch clear touch screens. I called them the wrong thing. What do they call? Prometheus. All right, clear touch to me. In every single building. So, in summary, you know, with all that discussed, it would be my recommendation. Again, I want to make sure I say this the right way, that we actually lower taxes for our community and adopt a real property value rate of 66.8. Personal property is 67.5, motor vehicle 53.5, and utility of 3%. That way, we're not raising taxes, in fact, we're lowering them, but we also can meet the needs of our kids. Again, that's kind of my summary. A couple other things, I ran some numbers on property values. So if you own a $200,000 property, the difference that we're asking you to pay between the 4% and the compensating rate is $50 a year. If you own a $350,000 property, we're asking you to pay an additional $88 a year of the school system. $500,000, $500,000 home, we're asking you only to invest $125 a year, so that we can continue to meet the needs of our kids. So, I want to be very transparent, I want to be very open, I want to be very public about what we're doing, and give you real numbers and why we're doing it. So, hopefully I've explained that as best I can. If you have any questions, we'll answer anything else you have.
You did a great job.
Yes.
You know, I think that getting that information out there is what we need out there right now, the accurate information, and we appreciate you setting the record straight.
So, Mr. Palmer, can you summarize it in lay terms, the difference between the compensating rate and the 4% revenue rate?
Sure, I think Mr. Howard did a fine job. So the compensating rate, in theory, is to try to keep you at the same level of revenue that you had the previous year, not accounting for some new property, right? The 4% rate will take what you have, and as Mr. Howard said, it's not a 4% increase, it's a 4% over total that you have the ability to go up to. Those rates are also set by the state. It's not like that we have decided what those are. They take our assessed values, they make the calculations, and send those to the school districts across the state. And then you have the choice to pick between compensating rate, existing rate, 4% rate, or something above that, which is subject to recall. So that is how that process works.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I thank you and Mrs. Ellis for working so hard on this to help us understand it as a board and be able to articulate what it actually is, what it looks like, and actual numbers. You all have answered multiple questions for us. So,
can you release this out to a statement for?
Yeah, our plan is to kind of summarize a lot of this in our board report that we'll put out, and we'll shoot that to all of our parents, all of our students. We'll put it out on the Mayor's E-line, so that way we've got it out there. So we'll probably be a lot more, I could talk for every day, I wasn't all that brief, I don't want to be in detail, but we'll put it in a very manageable form to get out to the public, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they deserve to see that. I think they deserve to hear it from the school board, from you, to see what we're doing, and RJ, and why and how, because, I mean, that's been the thing is nobody's contacted you. There's been a lot of things being posted on face page, as you call it, and there's been a lot of stuff being said and spread around, but nobody ever contacted you, correct?
Oh, man. I did get emails, the one.
Right, the same emails we received.
right, and I did receive a few on my own or that sort of thing, and what I responded back was we were gathering the information to understand it, to be prepared to make a vote tonight. That is what I do for every meeting. So, and that's what we all do for every meeting. But I really appreciate, and I don't want to, making it simple to understand it, because I think people are misunderstanding the 4% revenue, revenue rate. And they're thinking, oh my goodness, you're raising my, and that's not what this is.
No, if you guys accept my recommendation, we're actually lower taxes for our community.
And that's based on your all's work on the budget, looking at your, the anticipated revenues based on that. So.
Mr. Dorsey?
I mean, I think he pretty much hit it nail on the head. Our investment is our people, our students. It's what we hear, like what Mr. Meyer said earlier, what everybody has said the last couple of board meetings. We've had someone come forward and speak about all the great things that we're doing here. We can't do that. Even Mr. Howard and Ms. Fitton. We have, the reason we are doing so great is because we have planned and worked to get there, and this is just the same. It's just another page. I don't know what else to say. I feel like that we would be remiss if we didn't do diligence when it came to that tax rate and the citizens of our community, so.
And what I've heard from my constituents is, it's not about the money that they need to pay to the school board. They want to invest that money, even if they don't have children in the school system, they understand how important that is. So, and a lot of people, it's ranging from, I mean, I'm not afraid to say that my house was reassessed, but it only went up $25,000, but another person I know, it went up $100,000. So it was very just, you can't predict that. My next door neighbor, their house was assessed $50,000 more than mine. So there's just, and it's the same exact house. So it doesn't, we can't control that, but what we can control is what we approve and what we invest in our children. And I will say, I was at the opening day for teachers, and the excitement this year was so palpable. I don't know if I said that right or not. Palpable. The teachers were so excited. They were having a good time, but they also they're taking that excitement into the schools. And so when you take care of your staff, you take care of your students. And when you take care of your students, you make productive citizens when they grow up and graduate.
Yes, ma'am. And we were there on the first day of school, and I mean, the students, they were radiating with energy. They were so happy, and they were. Ben and I got the pleasure of going and embarrassing our own kids. They were not happy. But we did. We got to go into the schools and see, and I mean, the staff they were extremely upbeat and happy to see those babies back in school.
Routine.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the high school was super thrilled to have them in there. I mean, it was really good to see. So, well, with that being said, would anybody like to make a motion? Do you need Dustin to, or were you getting ready to make a motion, Ben? No, I don't want to.
It's in the board.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't want to make him make a motion. I didn't know what he
I'll
set
make
up,
a
like he was
motion
doing
to-
something.
I'll make a motion to adopt the real property rate of 66.8, the personal property rate of 67.5, the motor vehicle rate of 53.5, and the utility rate of 3%.
Motion by Mr. Dorsey. There. Motion by Mr. Dorsey. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for coming and
Anytime.
explaining things to us. We
Always.
appreciate it.
One quick update, and I'll be brief, Mr. Howard.
Yeah, we really didn't give you time to talk. We just
I don't have
went all
anything
over
to say.
the
I want to brag on you all a little bit. But Mr. Howard mentioned the purchase of the buses. We closed that bond today, 10 years at 3.62%. As a reminder, we used a new law that we had advocated for during the session to allow you all to issue general obligation debt. Clark County was the first district in the state to use that opportunity to get that rate for your school buses.
That's awesome.
So congratulations.
So can you compare to like maybe a rate from a previous time that we bought buses?
Yes,
Like general, it is.
I don't remember, it's a few basis points. It amounts to about $60,000 savings for the school
And that's
district.
huge. That's
Right.
huge.
But as a reminder, that was on school buses. So
Right.
imagine what the savings difference would be if we had done that for the high school
Sure.
or the preschool, something that's
Exactly.
tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Superintendent report. Woo-hoo.
Okay, couple things. I want to go ahead and talk about the KIPP survey. What that stands for, we're huge on acronyms in education. So it's the Kentucky Incentives for Prevention Survey, KIPP. It's in Kentucky, over 93,000 students participated a couple years ago. It's every 2 years, and it's all throughout Kentucky. So this is not just a Clark County thing. it's really a source for us in our community and the state to look at data related to youth use of alcohol, tobacco, other drugs, as well as a number of other or other additional factors related to adolescent social and emotional well-being. It allows us to plan for interventions, for programming, for prevention, because if you don't know, then we don't know where the concerns are and how great the concerns are. This is anonymous, it doesn't give names or anything like that. Parents can opt out of us giving it to them, so there is a permission that needs to be granted. But for us and a lot of our community partners, they have actually, I've gotten at least 3 or 4 emails, I'm gonna say begging, but really advocating that we do this because of the information it gives, even folks like the health department and some other people that are making a decision on interventions and programming. So,
Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Just that the parents should expect those
Yeah,
permission
so the
slips
window, I think, starts in October, but we'll be getting something out before then. Other than that, we talked about opening day, Connect event. Oh my gosh, we had a good time. They even had me dancing a little bit. I know it's a little scary, but I kept my hands in tight. You know, Carlton, we didn't get crazy on that. But I really want to thank our staff. Ms. Fithen and her staff did a great job planning the event. Community partners, we raffled away gifts. Community partners set up an ox gym, gave free things. I mean, we really wanted to wrap around our teachers because they worked their guts out for our kids. We want to say thank you. And again, our community showed up big time. And I challenged every staff member very directly to be a light. No matter what they're going through in their life, be a light every day from the moment they walk in the building to the moment they leave to our kids. And I mean that. And I will help encourage them. But to do that, we've got to meet their needs as well. So it was fantastic. Probably the smoothest start that we've had. I've been here 21 years. Smoothest start I can ever remember. By day 2, we had every bus on time to schools. Big shout out to transportation. Traffic patterns were as good as I've seen in a long, long time. Not perfect, but again, we're 9 days in, folks, and none of you guys are getting calls or emails like we have previously. Super fast start with our staff. Our kids are excited to be there. Our staff's excited to be there. So again, all of that doesn't come without planning and preparation. We also unveiled our portrait of a learner. I'll get you guys a video. We showed it on opening day. It's pretty daggone good. Even Mr. Mouse has a cameo in there.
Yes.
Does a fantastic job. We'll be talking a lot more about that as we unveil that to our community. We are going to have a community connection event on October the 10th. So if you put that on your calendar, I need you to be there October the 10th.
What time?
That's going to be, I think it's 6:30 at GRC. We're going to feed people. The entirety of Clark County is going to be there. We're going to look at Portrait of a Learner, rolling out our new vision and mission where we're growing greatness. Clark County is a preview. It's going to be a fantastic event. Second thing, we talked a little bit on the front end about the MTSS Bullying Task Force. We have set up our second meeting. Our elementary specifically unveiled kind of their programming vision for the year yesterday. Ms. Shannon Crosby is going to be highlighting kind of overall themes. If you have questions, what are we doing about bullying? Go to your school site. It's got lots of great things on there. I know the high school and junior high are also utilizing intervention strategies. We don't in Clark County accept bullying. Let me say that officially. It is bad, and we're going to help kids as very best as we can because no one deserves to come to school and worry about their safety or not want to be there because somebody is mean to them. More times than not, they're mean to them on social media before they ever get there. We're also rolling out a cell phone, hold the phone. We're not going to have phones in our buildings, especially K-8. They're going to be put away when they arrive, and they're going to be turned off pretty much until they leave. High school, we're protecting instructional time, so they're not going to have them during class time. Our teachers can't compete with FacePage as we're teaching multi-step equations. Kids will choose, or InstaChat, that's another one I found out about recently. All right? We cannot. They're going to choose it every time, right? The other thing that I'm really proud of, we're actually going to roll out after Labor Day, we're collaborating with the Winchester Police Department on cell phone and social media education. It is dangerous for our kids. It is as dangerous as a loaded gun. And yes, I said that. It will ruin people's lives. Fact. So, we're planning educational programming in every classroom, 5 through 12, where we'll have Captain Charles, another detective roll through and speak very directly, kind of scared straight. Dangers, this is how you can ruin your life. And that will start directly after Labor Day. The other thing is we need help monitoring it. Schools cannot monitor and police everything. Can't do it. So, we're going to educate using a kind of did you know programming, Cyber Mondays. The police force and our video production crew, you met one of them, but Ms. Harper, Caroline earlier, are going to tape basic instructional videos for parents and guardians. Because if you don't know, how do you monitor it? Like, did you know if your kid has 2 calculator apps on their phone, one is hiding bad stuff from you? Fact. I didn't know that. Because we're going to have to help educate each other and support each other. Because it's going to take the entirety of our community, parents, guardians, grandparents, teachers, board members, bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria staff, to help support our kids. They make terrible decisions. Doesn't mean they're terrible. Makes their kids. All right, so we're going to try to help educate them, and I'm really thankful for the Winchester Police Department and those efforts. Again, we're rolling those out. Also, special thanks to a couple parents that have been really involved. Ms. Guy, Ms. Peck, Ms. Catherine, Ms. Kaiser, you guys know who you are. You guys reached out. I listened, we listened. And you've been really integral in making sure that we can plan to help keep our kids safe, because they're all of our kids. I'm a dad too. My kids go right here. I'm scared every day. So I need us all to wrap around, not just my 2, but all 5,600. It's heavy work. We need help. Also, a huge shout out to a couple of corporate sponsors. L81 signed on to corporate sponsor. Massive donations will really help our schools, but also our booster programs, sports programs raise money, so we don't have to ask money from other places. Also, Clark Regional Hospital, if you haven't heard, they are sponsoring every student to get in free to every GRC and RDC ball game. Gigantic for us. Gigantic. So we're going to be celebrating them. We'll put a little more out that. So if you haven't heard about that, boom, boom. Also, some smaller partnerships I just found out. Jif Peanut Butter, Mrs. Watkins sponsors peanut butter in general. They're delivering a bunch of cases, going to donate for us to use with kids. It's fantastic. Central Bank did another big donation for Shear today. So I've asked our community to step up, and they are. Not just to provide basic needs for our kids, but to provide world class for our kids. So thank you. If you didn't mention you, we will celebrate the heck out of you when you do things for our kids. And I think that's all. I know I went over on brevity, but some things need to be said. So there you go. Update. Go Cards.
All right. Consent agenda items. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Bennett.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Hall.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned at 8:55 p.m.